Hello friends, welcome to SQL Practical Question video series. Here is another very interesting question that I have received from one of the subscriber. Thank you Raghu for sending this question. First let me explain what is the question is about and what is the expectation. Then I will show you how to write a SQL to achieve this functionality. So we are provided with a table that contains information about an album that is played every week. Okay, so for every week you will find one entry in this table which contains information about the title of chart, the date or the week on which it is played, the title and the artist name. So the expectation is we need to aggregate this data such a way that if the same album is played for more than 1 week continuously, then we need to just put only one entry in the expected output, and we need to say how many weeks it is played continuously and what is the first week of play. For example, so in this case, this particular album, the final cut is played for 2 weeks. So the first week of play is 27th March 83 and number of week continuously played is 2. So in our expected output, we need to say for final cut, the first play is 27th March and number of week played is 2. Same way, let us take another scenario, let us dance. So this set, we need to just print first week is like 17th April. You can see the 17th April date here and number of weeks it played is 3. Same way, let us take one more set, the Thriller. So in this case, Thriller by Michael Jackson is played for 2 weeks. First week is 15th May for 2 weeks. Same way, Thriller by some other artist is for 1 week. So you just say Thriller by some other artist is 1. Again, Thriller by Michael Jackson is 2 weeks. So let's say Thriller by Michael Jackson is 2 weeks and the first week of play is 5th June. So the 5th June should come from here. So let's take one more example. So you can see here the Y by Anthony is played for continuously 4 weeks. So we need to just say 4 weeks and the first week of play is 5th February 60. So this is the expectation. So the key information here is whenever there is more than one continuous week of play, then we need to aggregate such a way that we need to print how many number of continuous week it played and what is the first week. If there is only one entry in our input table, we just need to print as it is. So this is the expectation. Okay. So now rather than writing a SQL exactly for this scenario, I am just going to take a very simple table and in fact I am going to mimic the same functionality. Rather than taking the original full data set, I am going to write this logic on a very simple data set. Once we are able to write this for a simple data set, then we can apply the same logic to the actual functionality. Fine. So here is the table what I am going to consider. In fact, the logic is going to be the same. In fact, I am going to mimic the same functionality here. So I have a date column and I have a value column. Instead of multiple value column in the previous example, I am just going to take only one value column here. Okay. So now the expectation is if there is more than one row for the same value, we need to aggregate it. For example, A has 2 rows. We need to aggregate and say A has 2 rows and the minimum date is 10th July. Okay. So this is equivalent to the first date of play. Or you can say first week of play. Same way, B has only one row. So you just display as it is and you just say 12th July 20 and count is 1. Again, now A has 3 rows. So aggregate into a single row and the first date for A is 13th July. Number of rows is 3. Very similar to that, B will have 2 record. Again, C will have 2 record. Again, A will have 2 record. So this is the expectation. Okay. So now I will write and show you an SQL to achieve this functionality. Then what we are going to do is we are going to take the same logic and we are going to apply back to the original requirement. Okay. So as I always used to say, for any problem, we can try in multiple methods. Okay. So in this video, I am going to show you very simple and easy method of implementation, but always I recommend you to write multiple methods. If you are able to achieve in some other method, I request you to post that SQL in the comment section so that it will be helpful for the subsequent readers and viewers. Fine. First, let me show you what is the logic I am going to follow so that it is easy for you to follow when I am writing the SQL. The first thing what I'm going to do, I'm just going to introduce one more column, which is nothing but the lag of the same value. So for the first row, I'm going to take the value as it is, but for the subsequent row, it is going to be the lag. For example, A will come here. So B will come here, A, A and B, B, C, C, A, like that. I'm going to take a lag. So using the lag function we can achieve. That is, we can access the previous value in the current row. So using the lag function we can get this information. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare the value and the lag value, whatever we just got now. And if it is exactly the same, I'm going to print 0, otherwise 1. You will understand why I'm doing this a bit while. Okay, so in this case it's exactly the same, so I am putting 0. In this case also A and A is 0. So here it is B and A 1. Now if you see, wherever there is a change, you will see the 1. For example, or wherever there is a change from the previous value. For example, from A to B it is changing, so it is 1. So again from B to A it is changing, so it is 1. Again from A to B it is changing here, so it is 1. So B to C it is changing 1. Similarly C to A it is changing 1. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a cumulative sum of the zeros and 1, whatever we computed just now. So it's nothing but you say 0, 0 plus 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 0 is 2, 2 plus 0 is 2, similarly 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 0 is 3. Like that you just take a cumulative sum. Now if you see, clearly you will see one pattern. What we actually did is, we created the group information. For example, 0 is one group, 1 is another group, 2 is another group, 3 is another group, 4 is another group, 5 is another group. Now it is just a matter of aggregating based on the group. For example, 0, that is number of rows in 0 is 2. You take the minimum date in this group. Similarly for 1, it is only one row, so you just put 1. Here it is 3 row, so you put a 3 and take the minimum of date from here and just print it here. Similarly this is 2 row. Similarly here it is 2 row. Similarly here also it is 2 row. Okay, so this is the logic I'm just going to follow. Okay, let me show you how to write this SQL now. Okay, I'm creating and populating the data. I've just populated the same data. Let me just query from the table first. Okay, so we have data from 10th July to 21st July with the same data whatever I have showed you in this slide. So first what we are going to do is, so I have actually two columns. Column D is the date and column V is the value. First what I'm going to do, I'm just going to compute the lag value. So let me say lag of value comma 1 over order by date. So now we will get the previous value in the current row itself. Obviously the first row will be null. So when in case if it is null, we can take the value itself. For that I'm just using the NVL. If it is null, you just take the value. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so let us just give a alias like T, because this is just our temporary computation only. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare the V and the lag value. If both are exactly the same, we are going to print 0, otherwise we are going to print 1. So let's say case when V equal to, let's just copy the same thing, whatever we computed here. Then if both are same, then print 0, else 1, let's say end. Yeah, right. So let us just give an alias like C. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are just going to compute the cumulative sum of whatever the value we just computed here. So I'm just going to make this as an inline view. Okay, because we cannot put the analytical function on top of another analytical function, because already we have used a lag here. Again we cannot put the cumulative sum in the same row, so that's the reason I'm just making this as an inline view, and I'm going to compute the cumulative sum in the outer query. So let me select D, value, the temporary column, and the C from the inline view data. So now let us compute the cumulative sum. So I'm saying sum of C over order by D. Okay, now if you see, we just got the cumulative sum. So let me just alias like group, because this is a group information. Anyway, now we are not interested in printing the temporary column and the C column. Okay, so let me just remove it. So now we got the date, value, and the group. So let me make this as an inline view. and again I am select D comma V comma group from the inline view data. The reason I am using the outer inline view is because from each group we need to pick the minimum of date and we need to compute the count. So for that also I am going to use the analytical function only. So I am saying minimum of date over partition by group. So this will give us the minimum of date. So in each group, for example, in this group, in the first group, it will give what is the minimum of date. So in this case, it is 10th July. So let us take another group. So in this group, the minimum of date is 13th July. Fine. Similarly, I'm going to compute the count also. Okay, you can say count of star or count of D or whatever. So let me just give the count. So now we got the date, minimum of date as well as the count. Anyway, we are not interested in printing the date now. So we can just go and remove the date. So we have, anyway, we are not interested in printing the group information also. What we need is, we just need the date, value and the count. So let me just give an alias like D. Let me just rearrange it as per our expected output. So this is our date. Then we need the value. Then we need the count. So let me just give alias like count. Okay. So now if you see, there will be some duplicate entries because the same record will get twice. So we can just remove it by putting a distinct. So now if you see, we just got the exactly the same expected output. So let me just order it by date so that it will exactly match our expected output. So this is the logic to achieve the functionality. Now what we are going to do, we are going to apply the same logic to our actual problem. So I'm just dropping and creating the MYSQL chart data, and here is the query. In fact, the query is exactly the same. The only difference is, okay, instead of one column in our previous query, I am using both the title and artist. That is the only difference here. Let me give you a quick recap of what we actually did. As I already told you, there is a logic we are following here. Let me just tell you what we are using to achieve that logic. To get the lag, we are using the lag function. Okay, using the lag, you can get the lag function. And we are comparing, and in fact to get the first row, right, because if you use a lag, the first row will be null. To avoid that, we are using the NBL keyword here. Then if both are exactly same, print 0, otherwise 1. For that we are using the case statement, the entire case statement you can see. So this is basically to check the V and the lag data. If both are exactly same, we are printing 0, otherwise 1. Then what we are doing, we are computing the cumulative sum. So in the next inline view, we are computing the cumulative sum. Once we have computed the cumulative sum, in the outermost query, we are using the minimum of date to compute the date in each group and count function to compute number of rows in each group. Okay, so this is what we have done, and the same logic we have actually applied for the MYSQL data. Both these queries, I mean like both the simple data set and the query and the MYSQL data set and the query, I have posted in this link. You can copy this data, you can execute and you can understand. Okay. If you want any questions to be answered, you can post it in the comment section or you can drop to this mail ID. But before that, you can look whether a similar question has already been answered as part of the subscriber comments reply question or as part of the interview questions. If you're not able to find your question here, please write back to me. I'll be happy to record and post as a new video. If you have learned something new, please like this video, subscribe and stay tuned for new feature video, interview question, SQL practical question and concept videos. And thanks a lot for watching these videos. Please click the bell icon if you want to receive any instant notification whenever new videos are uploaded into this channel. Thanks a lot.